Could Charlotte finally figure out a way to get a win on the road? Is Pep Biel considered the MVP of the league so far this season? This and a couple more things coming up to you on Charlotte FC for the week. Okay, what is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. That means it is your favorite time of the week, your time to learn about Charlotte FC. And hey, Alan, why didn't you call it the Charlotte FC Match Week Preview? Well, a little bit different feel this time. New name, right? So just moved over to YouTube, as you all know. Appreciate you all liking and subscribing. If you haven't already, go ahead and do so. But with the change to YouTube and knowing that I wanted to do a little bit longer format, I did kind of want to adjust the format in which I was doing the information as well. So no longer just going to give you a Charlotte FC Match Week preview and then give you like a different recap video and then maybe a different video to talk about news. No, just all together, one video coming out on Fridays. It's this video right here. So very excited about that. We'll still maybe piece off some things on Instagram, on Facebook, and all of those, but the plan is to have one video that I post per week to just kind of entail everything together where all of you guys can get your Charlotte FC knowledge. We will start every week with the same kind of format, and that will be new news for Charlotte of the Week. I always want to start with that new news. If you guys have a cool plan or name that we can maybe add for this particular section, let me know. Would love to hear it. But for now, it's just the new news for Charlotte FC. And this week's new news really doesn't have much to do with Charlotte FC. It's more with me and this channel. Just knowing that I am moving over here and kind of changing the format, it felt necessary to change the name of the program. So sad news. Unfortunately, RIP Charlotte FC Match Week Preview. You went through such a long and illustrious time with us, got us through so many times. Obviously, you know, February 2025 until April of 2025. We do appreciate your service, Charlotte FC Match Week Preview, but you are unfortunately no longer needed. We are now Charlotte FC for the week. That's right. So just kind of like I said, so it's one program once a week. So Charlotte FC for the week. We're obviously for the crown, just makes sense. So that'll be the program moving forward. Hopefully you're excited about it. I know I am. That is our news for this week. Okay, jumping right up into the player news for the week. This segment will be brought to you by Sir Minty himself. Let's see. News for the week for player news. Wilfried Zaha back in the news. So obviously I reported last week that he had the thumb surgery. He did miss the last game. However, according to Coach Dean Smith, looks like everything went well. It looks like he could be even on track to play this coming week. So great news for Zaha in that camp. Like I said, it looks like he was only going to have to miss the 1 week and will be back this coming week. Also, Pep Biel scored a goal in the game this last week. We'll get into that goal, breakdown a little bit further down in the video. But yeah, that gives him now 3 goals on the season and 5 assists, which means he has 8 total goal contributions. That leads the entire league, ladies and gentlemen. So this is my official plea to the league and plea to everybody watching and excited about Charlotte FC as I am. Hey, put Pep Biel in that MVP conversation, right? Obviously, it's way too early to be looking at the MVP, but so far, he's got to be up there. He's got to be really considered the front runner, in my opinion. Again, leads the entire league in goal contributions through the 8th week of the season. So, hey, Pep Biel MVP train, we're starting it right now. That's your news. That's your player news for the week. Moving right along into the match recap of the week. So recapping last week's match against CF Montreal. Did we get a win on the road? Did we finally get points on the road? Again, 3 games so far on the road coming into this one and only 1 point. We were playing the last place team. Could we finally get it done? Guess what? Your boys did it. Hey, like Q Bob the Builder, can we win it? Yes, we can. We got it done. We got the win 1-0, right? It wasn't like a blowout in any sort of way, but absolutely stuck in there, hung in there, got the victory, got 3 points on the road. First victory of the season on the road, so big congrats to the team for that. It was a very professional win. If I was to word associate the game with just one word, professional, right? That is a Dean Smith coach team that we watched out there for sure. Just so compact on the defensive line. Just knowing where to step and where to be. Listen, if you go look at the stats, you would say, oh, Montreal was definitely the better team. I think they had like 70% possession. I think they had about 19 shots to about 5 or 6 for Charlotte. So, you know, you kind of go look at the numbers within the numbers. You're like, oh, wow, Charlotte was lucky to come out of there with the victory. But that wasn't the case at all. That is exactly the way that Charlotte and Dean Smith wanted to set up for this particular game. I thought it was a thing of beauty from Charlotte watching that game. I actually kind of put together my official board, so check this thing out, huh? High tech, right? This is kind of just the defensive structure that I saw Charlotte really play with. Charlotte's the blue magnets here, with Montreal being the black magnets here. Really, you know, here, I'm gonna move these for now, sorry. Just wanna kind of get these together. So this was really kind of Charlotte's back line. You know, they have their 2 back here with this one being Privet, this one Malanda, Byrne, and it was Ream. Ream actually subbed out in about the 60th minute, kind of an awkward or weird looking, I don't know what happened with him. We'll have to check on him later on the week to see what's going on. But yeah, these back 4 just kind of created a nice little cocoon, as you see there, with Abada and Vargas playing really high depth. These players were moving back and forth on the defensive side very, very well. So what we saw, if this right here was Prince Owusu, their kind of main guy in attack, he would stay here. Caden Clark for them. Maybe this one, he was kind of on this side. I don't remember all the other guys' names, but they had kind of their right wing here and then a player kind of underneath. These are their kind of offensive players, and they really wanted to get Owusu running in behind, but the players for Charlotte did a great job stepping up. I'll show you the video. And every time he would move in behind and the ball would come, offside, 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 right? There were 5 offside calls against CF Montreal in this game, and it was due to the structure and balance of that defensive line. Again, Charlotte would just basically collect everything, right? I mean, it was like, all right, Montreal moves the ball into the field, but then they would just get caught in this trap every single time right here. Could not get the ball past that, and then this player right here represents Patrick Ajiman. He would stay up top. We would, you know, kind of force the turnover, move the ball back up to here, and then we were off to the races on the counter attack. We had so many great opportunities on the counter that I kind of want to show you in the video. A little better, a little bit more high tech than the little whiteboard I got there. But yeah, it was like a Venus flytrap. We would, you know, they would come to us, we would just catch it, and then we would throw it back the other way as quickly as we could, and had a lot of great counter opportunities. Only were able to get the 1 goal, but that is exactly the way I think Dean Smith and Charlotte wanted to play that game. So this is a pretty good example of Charlotte's counter. We'll really just play in defense, and then the counter off of the mistake. So you'll notice Charlotte, sorry about the colors, I didn't love them neither, but all blue on the field. But anyway, all Charlotte 11 players are on this side of the pitch, right? Which is pretty common with the ball, but you'll notice as I play it how compact they become. So we'll go ahead and run it a little bit. Move the ball up, pause it there. So again, you'll see right up top here, we're going to leave BL, we're going to leave Ajiman kind of up there as outlets on the offensive side. But every other player is going to kind of retreat and play defense. So keep it playing. Perfect back line right here. Just keeping everybody compact. Play it in, get the header out. I'll try to play it back in, but then, all right, win the ball right there. And then right when we win the ball, again, remember the players that are up top. Look at all of there being Montreal's blue shirts. Look how many of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I bet there's one down here, 8 as well, that are down, you know, lower. And so Ashley Westwood steps in, wins the ball right here, goes ahead and plays it deep over to Abada. And then we'll go ahead and play it out. Look, all of this space, because again, only the two defenders here. He's outrunning him. We're sprinting down the field. All of this space to play offense with, right, on the counter. And eventually it'll lead to a pass and another shot from BL here, just wide. But you see what that did. I mean, they'll, basically would hold the ball for a minute or two at a time. Montreal would. Charlotte would eventually turn them over, and they'd press down the field and have a goal scoring opportunity within 5 to 10 seconds. That's Charlotte on the press, and that's what they did very well. So here's the actual goal for Charlotte. Again, you see the ball on Montreal's side. You see all of their players kind of up in the attack, and then in this case, it's a mistake made by Montreal. Here's the back pass, misplayed, but I'll pause the video there. Again, because Montreal's so, pushed forward and Charlotte's just sitting so well structurally, when they make that mistake, again, look at all of this space that Charlotte has to operate in the counterattack. So there is nobody back here. We'll go ahead and play it through. Ajiman's just waiting on his runners to come up the field, which they do here. Here's Abada. Then Abada will make that same pass over to BL. Instead of hitting the first one, he tried to cross it, but then finishes it right there. So very similar to that first play. This one ended in the goal for Charlotte. Again, it's really just a matter of Charlotte sitting back, absorbing pressure, and then either through forcing the mistake or Montreal just making the mistake on their own, Charlotte's able to push forward and get the goal. That's a perfect example of how Charlotte plays and likes to play when they're on the road. So yeah, once again, a perfect game plan from Dean Smith and Charlotte FC. Just, again, really absorbing that pressure as much as they could from Montreal, just waiting on mistakes or just waiting to be able to pounce on the ball, and then just, getting it up the field and to the other net as quickly as possible. Great game plan for Charlotte, and that's how you get 3 points on the road. Big time victory, obviously helps them in the standings tremendously. Is it sustainable, right? That's kind of the question I have, right? Is that a formula that can win on the road all the time? I don't know, right? I think obviously Montreal is in last place for a reason. I think they are better than maybe the record shows, but at the same time, I don't know that you can just sit back and absorb against teams like Miami, against teams like Columbus, maybe teams like Philadelphia that you're going to end up facing in the East that do tend to push and get a lot more opportunities when they push. They're not quite as, I'll say, erratic or youthful on the ball as Montreal may be. So I think it's a perfect way to play against teams that are like Montreal. But moving forward, I do think they need to be able to possess the ball a little bit more when they're on the road. Just so they're not always reliant on that defense. We did have to have 2 outstanding saves from Kalina, which we're almost always good for. Let's not take him for granted, by the way. What a player Kalina is. 2 great saves in this game. Reigning goalkeeper of the year, so make sure we give him his flowers. But we cannot rely on him all the time, right, to bail us out. And we can't rely on that great defensive structure to shut down every single team.
Wow, man. Damn.
So I do think that they need to figure out a little bit more sustainable way on the offensive side, when they are playing on the road. But all in all, I think that is a great formula, something they can rely on to get results while they're on the road. Moving into the players that I felt like I'm going to do this as well, kind of one player that his stock went up and one player whose stock maybe went down after the game. So stock up player for this game definitely has to be Liel Abada. He is our most expensive player. He is what you call a DP or designated player. We actually spent twice as much money for him as anybody else on the team. So the expectation is already there. He's been with the team closing in on a year at this point. We haven't seen what we would really like to be frank with him. He's just been a little bit inconsistent, doesn't show up in every game. But this game was absolutely his best game of the season. He actually got benched last game. I don't know if it was just because they never really came out and said, but he didn't play last game. It might have been the only reason he played this game was because Zaha was injured. But he came in and really showed us something. Again, on that counter, that's where he is at his best. They would play the long balls to him, and He's got that speed, and so he would kind of run in behind their defense and was making the great passes, right? He made the pass on the BL goal, made another couple good passes to BL, and Ajimani had a good one. So stock up for sure, Liel Abada in this game. We need to see more of that, more consistency, but great game from him. Stock down has to be Patrick Ajiman for this game, unfortunately. All the good things that I just mentioned about Abada, and to be fair, Ajiman put himself in these places, right? He was good at, kind of boxing out the defender as he normally is, but he had 3 fantastic opportunities to make the game 2-0, which really probably would have sealed it at the time. The game just stayed in the balance the whole time with it being 1-0. And Ajiman could have put this game to bed 1, 2, 3 different times and never did. Again, he's getting himself into spots, but only 1 goal on the season so far, just not finishing the job. And as a striker, unfortunately, that's what you're graded on. And so we need to see him put the ball in the back of the net a few more times than he has so far this season. Again, he put himself in the spots to get those chances, but just did not convert them. So stock down for this game, Patrick Ajiman. We just have to see a little bit more on the conversion side. Okay, and now that we kind of moving right along to the next segment of our new For the Week show, just around the league. Doesn't have a sponsor yet, need to come up with one. Maybe somebody will sponsor it one day. But for now, it's just around the league. So just going to go through the scores for match week 8, and then also show you guys kind of the updated standings after. So jumping right into it, hopefully you see the scores up there now. Starting with the first one, Toronto and Minnesota, they played to a 0-0 draw. Atlanta continues to struggle even with that, had a lot of signings in the offseason, spent a lot of money, still not able to score goals. They lose 1-0 to New England. Ew. 0-0 between Orlando and Red Bull New York. Cincinnati takes all 3 points from DC. They get the 1-0 victory on the road there, as did our boys in black and blue. As you see, Charlotte did win 1-0 against Montreal. Much more to come on that here later in the show. Moving forward, NYCFC did defeat Philly, clean sheet, 1-0. Vancouver, I'm going to talk about them here in a second, 5-1 over Austin in the biggest blowout of the weekend by far. Seattle, 1-0 victory, clean sheet over Dallas. Nashville lost to us last week, got back in the winning side this week, beating Real Salt Lake 2-1. Colorado, they played San Diego, who Charlotte will be playing this week. They won 3-2. They also beat us. Maybe a sneaky team right there that could be better than people thought. LA Galaxy still do not have a victory. Again, I'll speak about them here in a second as well. They draw against Houston 1-1. LAFC gets the victory 2-1 over San Jose. Portland 4-2 over Kansas City. Kansas City just got a new coach. I think this was the first game with him. They continue to lose anyway, though. 4-2 loss. 0-0 between Chicago Fire and Inter Miami. That actually helped Charlotte a lot. Again, get into that here in a second. And last game of the day, Columbus was able to hold on and beat St. Louis by a final score of 2-1. And now that we've seen the results of match week 8, what did those results lead to? So now let's pull up the standings for both the Eastern and Western Conference in the MLS. You're seeing them here now, and you're not reading that incorrectly. That's right, Charlotte is sitting in 2nd place in the Eastern Conference right now. Super excited about that. Like I said, with Miami drawing the last 2 games, they fell down a little bit, and so yeah, Charlotte's sitting there in 2nd place. Huge accomplishment, definitely the highest they've been this far into the season at any point in their 4-year franchise. So very excited, very proud of the boys in black and blue. Again, they're sitting in 2nd place. Again, kind of a disappointment down there in 11th would be Atlanta. Would have thought you'd have seen a little bit more out of them so far this season, but yeah, that's kind of just the Eastern Conference at a glance. Biggest takeaways really are coming from the Western Conference right now, and it's on either side of the spectrum. I'll start with the first place team you see there, Vancouver. They're number one in the entire league right now. I went over their score. They demolished Austin, who is actually a pretty good team this year, 5-1 this past week. They're demolishing everybody. I haven't done a lot of research into them to see what's going on and what's working so well for them, but they're scoring 3 goals, 4 goals. I mean, they are just beating the brakes off of every team they play right now. So Vancouver, certainly a team to watch. And then, like I said, on the other side of that spectrum, the last place team without a victory on the entire season so far, your reigning, defending MLS Cup champion LA Galaxy. Now, yes, their best player is out with injury and has been out the entire season, Ricky Puig, but to see a team go from first to worst in one season like that, just kind of jarring to see. Now, obviously, again, we're still only a quarter of the way through the season, plenty of time to adjust and get better, but yeah, just those were kind of the two big takeaways to me. Weren't a lot of people talking about Vancouver at the beginning of the season. They certainly are now. A lot of people were talking about the LA Galaxy and repeating. Not too many people doing that now. So again, those are kind of your takeaways from the MLS through match week 8. Okay, and now for not only the final segment, but probably the best segment, the one that kind of started all of this. It was the namesake, like we just went over a little while back, the Charlotte FC match week preview time. So obviously previewing match week 9 this week. Charlotte has San Diego FC coming to the bank. It'll be 7:30 p.m. on Saturday. If you don't already have plans, go ahead and make them to be there at the bank. This should be a great matchup. San Diego FC is don't have a lot of info to go off of. Why? Well, they're an expansion team, right? This is their very first season in existence. The MLS does continue to grow, and they are the newest of those teams. And when you think about expansion teams, typically you're not thinking they're going to come out of the gate and be a very great or well-respected team. You typically got to earn something like that to have that type of merit. But San Diego quickly has done that, and I think they have the attention of every team in the MLS. They certainly should. In my opinion, this is going to be one of the 2 or 3 hardest games Charlotte has had all season. Maybe outside of Miami and FC Cincinnati, perhaps. This team could be better than pretty much every other team we've played, in my opinion. They actually have the second most goals in the MLS, so they know how to put the ball in the back of the net. We've documented many times on these videos how good Charlotte is defensively, so it will be a very good test to see how do they handle some of the best when it comes to scoring the ball. Saw the standings earlier. They're sitting in 3rd place right now in the West, so literally they just came in and jumped right in and started playing well immediately. They run a very similar system to Charlotte. They have a 4-3-3. Again, that's 4 defensive players, 3 midfielders, and 3 forwards. Charlotte, pretty much runs the same formation, but both teams do it vastly different. So Charlotte, again, we're much more of we don't necessarily need to have the ball. We're going to counter attack you and try to score that way with our numbers on the counter. San Diego does not do that. San Diego wants the ball. San Diego needs to have the ball. San Diego actually leads the entire MLS in possession. And so if you are going to the game, or at least you plan on watching the game in some way, I think you're going to see that continue in this game. I mean, it really, lends itself to that. I think San Diego will be, on the ball quite a bit more than Charlotte will. Does that bother Charlotte? No. Like I said, we're used to playing that way. We like to, kind of hang out and counter. But, I think it will be interesting to see how much of that they can sustain and how much, of that ball possession will lead to chances. I think that's the key, is just limiting the chances. They can have the ball, just don't give them chances at the end of the day. Their key players are both Chucky Lozano and Anders Dreyer. Chucky Lozano, they're both wingers. Chucky Lozano plays on the left. He's actually a Mexican international, plays with them regularly. And then Anders Dreyer is he's a Danish international. And again, he'll be playing up on the right side. I'm going to bring back out the fancy schmancy high-tech whiteboard, making its second appearance of the show today. Just wanted to kind of illustrate, what San Diego does to kind of help make them successful from an attack standpoint. So again, the black magnets here will represent San Diego, blue will represent Charlotte. Just have 3 on here. This is supposed to be those top players. So again, this would be the Anders Dreyer, right winger, Chucky Lozano, left winger, and of course their striker here. So just, normal circumstance, okay, you got a defender guarding him, you got a defender guarding him, you got a defender guarding him. What's the big deal? Well, San Diego likes to kind of move their players out of position to create confusion. And what I mean by that, again, typical, if you have a striker, this is where the striker is going to be at the highest point of the line and just going, up to try to score the goal, right? Well, what they like to do, they'll kind of drop this guy back into the midfield, and then maybe bring this guy over to the more central location when they have the ball, because what that creates, well, this guy here for Charlotte thinks he's guarding him because that's what he's been doing the whole game, right? So go back and reset it up. So he's guarding him. So when he drops back, this player kind of comes with them. And so as this player starts to come central, this player doesn't know to follow the winger because, again, he's used to playing out on the wing. That's what he does. He guards on the wing. So he's thinking he's passing him to more central defender. Well, with this one moved up, all of a sudden that creates space for him to move forward this way, right? And they'll do that with either winger, this side or left. So they like to, again, move those wingers centrally and move that striker back to create that space. Obviously, moving the striker back into the midfield also adds more, depth or cluster into the midfield so they can keep that possession better. We'll do a little bit better video. Hopefully that'll help illustrate it a little bit more, but that's what they like to do on offense. And then, defensively, again, we'll put the players back here. So if Charlotte gets the ball, Anders Dreyer, again, right here, and Chucky Lozano, they are going to play super duper high along with the striker right here. They're going to be very aggressive, as close and trying to win the ball back from these players on defense as quickly as they can. So what the key for Charlotte, again, the blue magnets, would be they've got to stay composed when they get the ball. They're going to have to make 2-3 passes here. Let me add Kalina because Kalina is going to be a big part of this as well in goal. These guys have to be able to be composed and keep the ball so that when, after about 3-4 passes, they hopefully open up some space. If they can hold the ball, Charlotte, when I say they, if Charlotte can hold the ball for, 3-4 passes at the back, and then be able to look down the field, I think there will be space to exploit on the counter like we like to do. But we have to be able to hold the ball for a couple, 3-4 passes here at the back, be a little bit patient so that we can get those players ready to run forward. So I want you all to watch this play. This is a great example of kind of that, unorthodox spacing that San Diego does that creates confusion from the defense. So these 3 players are the San Diego players that we were mentioning earlier. This is Anders Dreyer right here. Again, he is a right wing. He's playing inside of their central striker. And look how deep the central striker is. Usually you'll see him right up on the ball, sometimes even at the midfield line a lot of times. But he's behind the ball, playing even right of their right defender. And then here's Chucky Lozano, their left winger. Again, what you'll see as the play kind of plays out, this is the guy that's supposed to be defending him. He's so far inside, he doesn't, it just doesn't compute to him that he needs to get that far inside as well. And so we'll go ahead and play this out a little bit. They make the pass, and of course they turn it over here. And again, this is their striker that just received the ball in the midfield. He had moved so far back. There's 1, 2, and about to be 3 players in front of their central striker, which keeps these players occupied, right? So this would be the normal guy guarding him. He's kind of standing flat-footed. You see the player on the right, he's just going to make a sprint forward because there's so much space in behind due to this movement. And even more so, if we look down here, again, this guy is responsible for guarding this guy. He's got 8 yards of space, and that's due to where he was, again, pre-play. So we'll go ahead and play it out here. Watch the ball down, plenty of space. And now this guy's in between everybody. His defender's too late to get to him. Ball's in the back of the net for a goal for San Diego. That is a great example of how they, again, just move to unorthodox spots, confuse the defense, and put the ball in the net. So going to be paramount for Charlotte to communicate and know where those players are at all times. So in conclusion, prediction time here. based on what I've said and kind of with the video, film study, whatever you want to call it, it seems like it could be a higher scoring match, 3-2, 4-3. I'm not going to predict that, just again, based on the season and based on what we know about Charlotte and what we like to do and just not giving up goals, right? So even though it could be a higher scoring game, I think this has the potential to be a higher scoring game. I'm going to keep it at a final of 2-1 Charlotte. Charlotte will get it done in the end because, again, we are playing at home. We've got, 8 straight, or I think going for 8 straight victories at home now. Yeah, that's what it is. 8 straight victories at home is what we're going for, continuing to set the mark higher and higher. Again, it's going to be tough. We're going to have to sit in and really defend for a lot of this game. So it's going to take mental fortitude. But again, playing at the bank, playing in front of our fans, I think we get it done. Final score, Charlotte 2, San Diego 1. Goal scorers for the game. Again, it's going to be a counterattack game for Charlotte. So to me, that perfectly lends itself to a Liel Abada goal running down the field. He is probably our speediest player. They'll get a long ball to him and he'll get one. And please, Patrick Agyemang, you're going to get 2 or 3 opportunities, I feel like, in this game to put the ball in the net. You didn't get it done last game. You hadn't done much this season, so I'm calling you out a little bit. I love you, but I want to see a goal from you as well. So again, Charlotte 2, San Diego 1, Agyemang and Abada with the goals. That actually also wraps up the entire video, so appreciate you guys watching as always. Hope to see you guys out at the game. Very excited. And as always, for the crown.